Hey Canucks fans, we are 2 days away from the NHL trade deadline, and the Canucks made a couple of minor moves today, but nothing to do with any other team. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but there are more internal transactions regarding the Vancouver Canucks and the Abbotsford Canucks. The first one, the bigger one I would say, is that they sent Vasily Podkolzin down to Abbotsford. Now, this is more of a procedural thing as opposed to a demotion in terms of how well he hasn't played. Because I think he's played pretty well in his 2 games. I'll talk about that in a second. But really, this was what they call a paper transaction. Players that they want to be eligible for the Calder Cup playoffs, so the AHL playoffs, have to be on the AHL roster at the time of the trade deadline. So the trade deadline is on Friday. So by the Canucks sending Vasily Podkolzin down to the Abbotsford Canucks today, that means they'll likely keep him there until at least Friday. So, but that does mean then Podkolzin would be eligible to play in the AHL playoffs. And of course they wanted to play in the playoffs. He's been with Abbotsford basically this entire season up until this past week. So you want him on your playoff roster, and to do that, they have to be part of the AHL roster as part of the trade deadline. Just like the NHL, where we're talking about Phil Kessel. If the Canucks end up signing him and they want him to be eligible for the playoffs, he has to be on their roster by the trade deadline. So basically the same thing, the same philosophy, and that's why Podkolzin was sent down. And last year, they did like 4 guys. They did Podkolzin, they did Ratu, they did Juleson, and they did someone else. Oh, Christian Wolanin. So all 4 of those guys were sent down last year in a very similar move. Just shows you how bad we were. If Ratu, Wolanin, Podkolzin, and Juleson were all playing for us and at the same time eligible for AHL, then that just shows how weak our roster was comparatively last year to what it is right now. That likely means, though, that Podkolzin will not play tomorrow in Vegas, because I think he's got to be on the roster for Abbotsford on Friday, unless they call him. No, there's no point calling him up and sending him back down again for Friday, because why would they have done it today? So look for Neal Chark or someone to fill in that spot on the roster. It's not Dakota Joshua coming back early. It is likely to be Neal Chark filling that spot in. So that's Vasily Podkolzin. I expect him to be back up with the Canucks after the trade deadline. It might not be right away, depending on Joshua's recovery and how well Aman plays, but he's certainly going to be an option for the Vancouver Canucks, along with the Abbotsford Canucks, for the Vancouver Canucks playoff run as well. And yeah, I think he's played well. I think he was more effective in his 2 games than Baines was in his 4. Podkolzin had 12.5 minutes on Sunday, had 9.5 minutes yesterday. I thought Sunday was a bit better than yesterday, but yesterday he was fine. Didn't make any mistakes. Noticeable in the play, active on the board, trying to keep plays alive and trying to turn pucks over. So overall, I thought he was fine. He wasn't amazing, but he was fine. He didn't hurt the team at all. The other interesting Abbotsford moves is defenseman Guillaume Brisebois was activated off of the LTIR and then assigned to Abbotsford. This is really good news, obviously, for a couple of reasons. Number one, just the fact that he'll be starting to play hockey again. He suffered a very bad concussion. I don't think it's his first one, but it was a bad concussion in a preseason game, and we haven't seen him since. So we're already at March 7th and March 6th, and we had not seen Brisebois at any practice or anything. So the fact that he's been skating for the past couple of weeks and now he's being cleared to go to Abbotsford, not sure how quickly he'll get in the lineup, but it does a couple of things. He's eligible, I guess, to play in the playoffs for Abbotsford, and then we'll see good depth for the Canucks. Obviously, once you consider Myers back in, we have our top 6 of Hughes, Hronik, Susie Myers, Cole Zadorov. Then you have Juleson as your number 7. You have Friedman as your number 8. And you have guys like Irwin and Wolanin and McCord and now Brisebois as your 7, 8, 9, 10. Hirose could be 11, whatever order you want to put them in. So, really good news for Brisebois, because, it looked like he was going to battle for a bottom pairing spot on this team, or at least be one of the first call-up options, and he hasn't been because he's been out with his concussion since the start of the season. So Brisebois activated and then sent down or sent to Abbotsford. Now, a couple other trade deadline things that we should talk about. Friday is the deadline for Phil Kessel. You can still sign him after the trade deadline, but then he's not eligible for playoffs. So the Canucks obviously a lock to make the playoffs, so I think you got to make that decision in the next 2 days. Obviously, I think it'd be good just to have as depth, and then you keep him on the roster as either he can play in the top 2 lines, he can play in the bottom 2 lines, he can be your extra 1 or 2 forwards. You're obviously not going to send him down to Abbotsford, so if you're going to sign him, you're signing him to play with the Vancouver Canucks. So again, this Friday is a trade deadline not only for the bigger moves and the moves between teams, but you also got to sign unsigned players by then for them to be eligible for the playoffs. Finally, a quick word on Jake Guentzel. It's a story that doesn't seem to go away. You know, I've been saying on my streams that with Lindholm, I wouldn't trade Lindholm, and it's not because it's embarrassing or because you want to save face. That's not a good enough reason. The Canucks did trade for him early at the end of January to give him that extra month of getting acclimated to this team. Not sure how well that's gone. Like I really like the player. I want him to do well, but I can't deny that he has not been that productive. But I keep saying the reasons why he brought him in: center depth, defense, penalty killing, right-handed center for face-offs. Those are the same reasons. The reasons why you brought him in are the same reasons why I think you should keep him. Now, is there any way where the Canucks can keep Lindholm and then also trade for Guentzel? That's going to be a lot tougher. It's going to have to involve a third team. It's going to have to involve some salary retention. It's going to have to involve at least a couple maybe prospects or picks we might not want to give away. But that's the cost of doing business right now. Although I've heard some people say that Jake Guentzel, it's not maybe, there aren't as many teams as thought of that are bidding for his services. So maybe Kyle Dubas in Pittsburgh is not going to get the home run deal that he is desiring. I don't know. There's just so many interesting things to think about. And we obviously have some trades today. The biggest one is Tarasenko going to Florida. You have Henrique and Carrick going to Edmonton. You have Wenberg going to the Rangers. And then I think it was Mantha going to Vegas. There's one more I was going to talk about that is slipping my mind right now. But Canucks, Edmonton, Vegas, Colorado. Oh, yeah, of course. You had Walker going to Colorado for Johansson, and he was promptly waived by Philly. And then you have Middlestat for Bowen Byram. So, yeah, at least 6 trades, if not more, of note today. We'll see if the Canucks get in on the action later today, sometime tomorrow, or Friday before the deadline. So lots to talk about. I'm going to break open all these scenarios, break them all open on my show tonight, my live stream at 11 p.m. right here on this YouTube channel. So hopefully you can join me then. Thanks to my sponsors, Van City Experts Real Estate, Perform and Transform Personal Training Weight Loss. Thank you, legendary Lucas Gates, legendary Carol Bovelander, legendary Andrew Chang, and thanks to Hall of Fame franchise members as well. And thanks to all of you for watching, liking, and subscribing. On your way out, please subscribe, please like the video. You can leave a donation, you can become a member, you can upgrade your membership, and leave me a comment. Tell me what you thought about this Podkolzin move, Guillaume Brisebois, any hopes for him, and what do you think is going to happen with Phil Kessel, Jake Guentzel, and maybe a comment on all the trades that have been going on today in the NHL. Hope to see you tonight at 11 p.m. for my nightly live stream. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. God bless, and go Canucks go.